I want to talk about good faith versus bad faith. I want to talk about why it's bad, why it holds us back. I want to talk about the way that we have a tendency of buying into bad faith because it fits into our personal biases and it causes us to jump into conclusions as fast as possible. Yeah, that's going to be exciting. We might do some other stuff later. There's a couple people who we've been kind of like filtering alongside of going, hey, we should talk. Hey, we should talk. Hey, we should talk. So they might pop in. We'll see what happens. I'm apparently the only streamer on this platform that's like, hey, can we book it for like this specific time? I kind of have an incredibly busy life. Like, besides when I'm streaming, usually I'm doing like housework or cooking. Really, the only time I have to like do anything else is when my wife goes to bed. So, but we'll see what happens. I'm completely fine with derailing. Saw you on Damon Machine Roundtable thingy. Did great. Thank you so much. Was it 6 on one? I think I felt like 10. It felt like 10. I don't like to. I'm not a blood sports guy. I don't like to get screamy all the time. Every once in a while, it's kind of fun. But like, good lord, that was the thing. But I respect them for putting up with me. And it was definitely difficult answering 10 different questions at once from all those different people. Streaming is great, but that life stuff way more important. Yes, exactly. I find that really funny because like the people I talk to who are like, yeah, I really want to come by your stream. I really want to talk to you or have you on my stream. I'd really love to do that. Like, oh yeah. Make sure to set up a time, and then I'll be like doing something, and they'll be like, hey, you want to come on? They're like, I need a little bit more time in advance. It's like, can we, I don't know. I get it though. I get it. But I have to schedule things out. I appreciate everyone who even wants to humor me in talking to me. That's pretty fucking cool. I am way okay with that. I fucking love that. I just reset my fucking sub alert and it's already wrong. Cool. Yeah, we'll get there. We will get there. We will. We'll just not worry about it. Okay. So let's do this. So last week, if you were by my stream, during all the missile stuff, all the stuff going on with Iran, my main thing in everything leading up to it, because I saw the build up to the Iraq War, because I saw how misinformation gets around, because I saw how misinformation spread like wildfire in the 2016 election on both sides. Everywhere. There are still people who think Hillary Clinton is just going to drop dead from Parkinson's and that's going to lead to us nuking Iran. So that's out there. And that's a problem on the left and on the right. It confirms our bias. So it feels nice. It agrees with what we already think. It agrees with what we already think. Therefore, we don't have to go through the challenge. Hi, blah. We don't have to go through the challenge of having to change our opinion or change our views in any way, shape, or form. We can just buy into it and go, yes, this is the truth. I'm making a point about like how people buy into misinformation a lot more quickly than they should. How they just immediately go to, yes, this is the fact because it's what I agree with, and that's it. The phrase commonly used for this is confirmation bias. It is heavily done on the right, of course. Hi, Levo, yes, still in Hell World, just because I couldn't think of another background to put up. But at least it's not the MR set. Why don't we go back to the MR set? MR set or this one. What do we think? Hell World? Alright. We can hang out in Hell World a little bit longer. It got cold over the weekend, so, this keeps me warm. Plenty of centrists who fall into that too. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's one thing I want to specify is when I say the left and the right, I'm talking about in the United States. The perceived left and right. Both sides of the aisle. Republican and Democrat. The big tent of the Democrats and the incredibly small, lily white, not seasoned edge of the Republicans. Would you agree that there were no liberals? There would be nothing to share. What? I don't even know what you're asking here. But we're gonna get back to that. Try and clarify, please, because I have no idea what you're asking there. So it is definitely a situation. Liberals make things. Only liberals work. None of that's true. That's okay, perfect. There we go. Probably heard it from someone, believed it because it fit into his bias, and therefore was like, oh, clearly this is real because it makes me feel good and I don't have to change my way of thinking at all. It's easy for me to believe because it already fits in nicely with what I think. He thinks that because he believes it to be true. Because he believed it was true before that, and then somebody else said it, and he went, yeah, 100%. Ignoring the fact that that original statement comes from bad faith. It's meant to push a narrative. It comes there not seeking the truth or meaning to spread the truth, but to push rhetoric. Rhetoric doesn't need to be honest in order to be rhetoric. It can just be rhetoric. The position will, by the way, hi, Stoney. Sorry, I'm getting off on tangent. Good to see you. I'm glad to have you here. And Georgie Porgy, welcome. So yeah. You believe it because you live in Poland? Everyone at labor level builds things. Everyone. There's no political divide in that. The political divide is in who you vote for and how you try to accumulate labor power versus allowing more corporate power over labor. That's a different thing entirely. So yeah, he believes that because it fits into his own bias. Has he checked in on it? No. Has he read any studies on it? Clearly not. I would guarantee it. So, it's easy to accept from that point. It doesn't mean anything. It just means it's easy to accept. Now, if we were to look into the data, he might find out he was wrong. And if he found that out, he might have to change. Now, something I say a lot, I haven't brought it up on stream, but it's something I've said a lot to my wife, is the one thing that people do not want to have to do is change, because it's hard. I am someone who is not adverse to that. I'm fully willing to accept that my positions could be wrong all along, so long as I can see the proof. So long as I can see the evidence to the fact. How I've gotten to where I am, because I didn't always believe this way, is from that perspective. I started out someone in my early adulthood toying with the idea of libertarianism. Then I was just a dumb liberal. I was actually against single payer healthcare up until I worked in healthcare. and saw how fucking terrible it is and started seeing that what everyone was talking about was inherently bad from the perspective of the insurance companies. They basically create the problem. The profit motive incentivizes our healthcare system to be as bad as it is. It was a long trip. I used to be okay with private companies dealing with our water. Then a water crisis happened in my city, and I saw the damage of that. I used to believe that there was such a thing as moderate Republicans, and George W. Bush and Dick Cheney were outliers. Gee, I was wrong there. None of that is true. So, the one rule that I like to work with is, if it sounds too perfect to what you already believe, there's a good chance it's not true. I have seen many a thing, even about Donald Trump, someone who I absolutely abhor. He's a terrible president, and he emboldens white supremacists. He makes incredibly dumb decisions that's going to lead to the deaths of hundreds, if not thousands, of people worldwide. And that's ignoring the people that have already died because of the choices he's made. Which we shouldn't do that, but no one seems to care how many people we've already killed. Whatever, I guess. We need to worry about American lives. So apparently we're the only ones that exist in this world. Yeah, about that. But it's all convenient positions. I have had to correct a number of times. The whole thing where God, what was the thing that they quoted? They quoted from a Time magazine article that Trump said. The whole thing about, if I were to run for president, I would run as a Republican because their voters are too stupid or something along those lines. And I have had to tell even friends, just as left of me or liberals, that no, that is not true. That is false information. The one key thing that I like to say is, and I said it on Twitter earlier, is with a lot of these people, there are plenty of reasons to legitimately criticize them. The terrible impact on the world. Everyone from Obama to Clinton to Reagan to Bush and, yes, Donald J. Trump. That you don't need to make up a reality in order to say shit about them. Because the problem lies is once you start buying into a lie and spreading it around, it doesn't matter what your legitimate criticisms are. Because the person you're talking to who already knows, if they already know that that's not true, are no longer going to take your position seriously. If there was any chance of moving them, you lost it. If there's any chance of you being taken seriously, it's gone. So, how about I know this is asking a lot. The world is about now information, We want everything now. News story comes out. Oh, there was a bombing overseas. Immediately assumed. Iran was attacking U.S. bases in Iraq. Immediately, it was assumed that soldiers died. Immediately. It was assumed a lot of things. Even at one point, there was reported that no soldiers died, but something like 20 Iraqis died. Do you want to know what the actual casualty count was in those missile attacks? It was 0. Nobody died. Does that justify it? No. Iran even said they purposely tripped off and warned them ahead of time that they were going to do that because they didn't want to kill people. They wanted to show that the U.S. Escalating in the way that they did was bad and was going to receive a response. Because, of course. But the bad faith argument that people bought into immediately was this guy was a terrorist. He was going to attack the United States. He was going to do it. They said it was imminent and it was going to happen and he was going to lead the attack, whether it was on our embassies or on the U.S. itself. That's what they went with. Now, as things got clarified, first thing we find out is, well, it's not going to be the U.S. We do know that. Okay, so it's going to be it was supposed to be U.S. embassies. You're like, okay, all right. When was he planning to attack this out? Days, weeks, or months, maybe. We can't really specify a time. We just it was imminent. All right, well, doesn't imminent mean really soon? So even if you say a week, that's closer to imminent. But then when you say months, possibly. First of all, you don't sound so sure yourself. You don't sound so sure that you stopped anything, for one thing. And second of all, this doesn't sound like it fits the meaning of the word imminent. So why did we kill Soleimani? There was no imminent attack being planned. There was talk of working the proxy wars, which, while the guy is not a good person, we're going to get into that in a second. While the guy is not a good person, he wasn't planning an imminent attack on the U.S. We now know that. Let me see if I can find this story here. God, I shared it earlier. Other tweets and replies. Or was that under likes? Oh. Did I share it? I know this is great content, but once I find it, it'll help things. Okay, let's see here. So, it was imminent, right? This was a flash decision. He had to make this decision then. That is what we were told. That was the news on the ground. He had to do it then, guys. He had to stop him. He had to stop him. They were going to go after us. They were going to go after us. Okay. Why did he make that decision in June? Anybody? Hey, Turing. Oh yeah, yeah. Please promote it. Go ahead, go ahead. We'll pop back over to Hell World real quick. Everybody, touring news. Wonderful streamer. Doing the Lord's work in as they say in Iowa right now. Spreading the news of Bernie. Talked to him last night. Told me good news about what's going on there. And yeah, I'm super glad to have him by, and like talking to him is fucking awesome. Super smart dude. Definitely follow him if you don't. Tomorrow night, I'll be broadcasting Nina Turner and Cornel West at a debate watch party in Des Moines. Holy shit. That's pretty good, Outstorms. Yeah, Echoplex needs a lot more support too. Like, they're going to be the guest speakers for us. Nice, nice. Oh, God, I'm considering even streaming that. Like, I'd much rather just watch your stream. Maybe I'll just do my early day stream and just watch it off stream. Plus the fact that it'll help me not risk the likelihood of getting banned. But that sounds fucking awesome. And Cornel West, Nina Turner, great speakers. You know, Nina Turner is an amazing attack dog for progressivism, and Cornel West, man, that dude. If there's anyone that if he sat down with the K Hive or Warren voters or even the people who are barely hanging on to the life of Biden, if there's anybody who could talk them out of it, if they met a one-on-one, it'd be Cornel West. That man knows what he's talking about, and he knows how to tell people how it is in the best way possible. This is what you want. We know what you want. This is how we get there. This is how we help you. Hi, James. Peeks in here, hasn't in a bit. Good to see you. I remember you. I see a Theo, so this must be a cool place. Yeah. Little Mix Theo. Good people. Blah, what are you... Are you getting abrasive with my chat? Am I going to have to time you out, bud? But yes, I that helped make a decision easier for me. I am going to be... Come on, dude. I should ban you for bringing up this shit about, like, being a proud white man. I'm going to give you a chance to rethink the way you're going to talk about things. Yeah, I could do that. I don't want to pull away from any of your viewers, though. Yeah, fucking Proud Boy. Oh, what was this thing? Raptor. Hey, are you one of these liberals that when you're proven wrong freaks out and bans the person Destiny style? No. Why can you say proud black man but not proud white, though? Seems like anti-white racism. That is not a thing that exists. Not in the United States. We are a predominantly white culture, a predominantly white population in this country. Therefore, the idea that we can be anti-white is a joke. It's like saying, you know, oh, you just hate corporations and you want to tear them down. Well, like, yeah, of course, because they control everything. Like, more than anything, you want to make it so everyone has equal power, which they do not have in this country. So no, anti-white is not a thing. I just brought up an example of anti-white racism and double standards for races. No, you really didn't. Because having hurt feelings over feeling like your whiteness is under attack doesn't mean your whiteness is actually under attack. It means you are just scared of something. Now, I live in a city baked in racism. That its entire history is based in racism and continues to be treated basically like garbage by the state up until, by the country really, up until we had a water crisis. And then, even then, it was a news story for a year and then gone. No one even knows what's happening here. And unless you bring it up, nobody cares. We're a talking point now. Shit, Elon Musk used us as a fucking means to scrub his publicity. So, no, that is not a thing. Please try to pay attention to the literal words I'm writing. I know it's difficult. The condescension is not playing very well in your favor. Okay, buddy? Why is it okay to say proud to be black, proud to be gay, proud to be trans, proud to be Mexican, but when you invert these things, it becomes something negative? Okay. Again, the condescension not working in your favor. We're gonna get cozy. Let's get cozy, guys. Let's get cozy. All right. I'm gonna explain this to you. All right. First of all, how you doing? Second of all, can you stop talking for a second, Raptor? Can you please stop talking and just listen? You asked me to listen. I have heard every single one of your bullshit statements, and I'm going to answer you, okay? Yes, I do have bushy eyebrows. Thank you for noticing. All right, I'll explain this to you, Raptor. At no point in history has it ever been a bad thing to be white. We have always had control of every scenario. We have enacted our imperialism all over the world, whether it was the UK or the United States. In fact, we still do it today, continually. We have had, except for one, all white, Christian, straight, cis males as president for the entirety of our history. And even then, the one black guy that we got in, everyone loves to point out that he's only half black, as if to discredit the fact that you actually cared a lot more that he was that half black. At no point in our history thanks, Sam. At no point in our history have we ever, or will we ever, trust me on that part, be a bad thing to be considered white. We have it really fucking good here. We have all the power. And the fact that I'm fucking sick and tired of it because I see my friends, my family, my neighbors having to go through shit that my immediate family has never had to go through. I will never have to go through, except for through a proxy of witnessing it myself, is bullshit. That doesn't make me feel proud to be white. Why would I need to? My existence is the default. They are not. There is many times in our history that being black, being gay, being trans, and actually all this is current history, all were considered bad things. And reasons to do everything from block them from housing to jobs to where they could even go to the fucking bathroom. And again, to this very day, we're still telling trans people where they can and can't go to the bathroom. How is that any different from what we did to black people? The only difference now with black people is we don't enslave them. We put them in prison and then enslave them. I hope that answers your question. I know you weren't paying attention because I saw I saw you continuing to type. So that being the fact, so don't take this as you won or proved me wrong or anything, because you didn't. I just don't appreciate that when you ask me a question and I answer it, you start typing over and over and over and over. And I know you can't multitask. So, otherwise, if you had the mental capacity to multitask, you would have the mental capacity to recognize the white privilege that you yourself has versus someone who is black in this country. You would be able to recognize that it has never in any country been considered bad to be white. We are the imperialists. We have dipped our hands in every single continent and country and culture around the world. We still do that. We are still considered the default. And I'm sorry that I consider that bullshit. And I'm sorry that that offends your whiteness and you see me as an anti-white person. But look, I love my family. I just recognize that, if I try and even make the argument that it sucks to be white in this country, in this world, I would be full of fucking shit. I would have to ignore everything I've witnessed people of color or any minority, LGBTQIA people have had to go through. I would have to ignore everything that I personally witnessed myself, everything that I've heard about. And I would have to not recognize that I will and have never gone through that. No one has ever treated me differently because of my race. Systemically. Your hurt feelings don't scare me, nor do they bother me. Go fucking find Red Pill Gaming and jerk off in your fucking echo chamber. I tried to explain it to you, and you just kept typing, bud. I asked you to listen. You said that you wanted me to listen clearly to you. I did. I read it slowly, with all your seeping condescension and bullshit. Like I somehow have never heard the white supremacist talking point before. Like I've never heard that same exact line of attack and had this whole speech that I've given multiple times on this platform. Shit, I think I do this once a week on just my stream. Not to mention the roundtables I've been on where I also have to do the speech. I have it fucking memorized. And you want to come in here and say that No. You have to listen to me because I'm taking over your channel to ask you this bullshit question that you already answered. And, when you try to answer it in a long form way, in a slow way to make it so that I can, with my little pea-brained mind, can hopefully understand it, I'm going to type to everyone else in the chat and ignore it. And then even accuse people, which I didn't approve, of hating white people. Thank you, Automod. I don't want that bile in my chat. You didn't prove shit. The only thing you proved is that you're a fucking moron and that when you hear the truth, you reject it outright. Which is exactly what we're talking about. You want any perfect definition of what bad faith argumentation is. It's any white supremacist who's coming in here and just asking these questions only on the basis that they know they're not going to get the answer they like. And they think that we have to put up with their bullshit as they continue to grandstand and say the same exact shit we've been hearing for decades from the fucking KKK. Call it whatever you want. Call yourself a groiper. Call yourself fucking a white nationalist. Call yourself a fucking identitarian. Give it whatever fucking name you want. It's the same bullshit. You're saying the same shit. And you don't realize it. You're just trying to paint it with a different name. I have heard this all my goddamn life. You honestly think I didn't have anything already in my head prepared? That is bad faith. You came in knowing that you did not want an answer. Because it wasn't going to be an answer that you liked. And you thought that if I block you or ban you or time you out, that means you won. You didn't. Because you weren't engaging with me. You weren't hearing what I was saying.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pax. Also, thank you, Collusion. So, if you're going to come in here, I have it in my rules. If you are going to come in here and talk to me and you want to debate with me, number one thing that you have to do is actually engage with the points that I'm giving. You cannot, however, I got a little excited and I hit too many buttons. That knocked my stream off for a second. I'll try and make this point without doing that as wildly. Yeah, I broke something. Am I still on? Yeah, my keystrokes did bad. That's what I get for trying to fucking sell his shit. Am I back live? Am I dropping frames? Ooh, I am dropping frames. Hang on. All my settings are right. Can you guys hear me? Okay, it looks like the animation has calmed down. My bad. All right, I'm gonna make sure not to do that anymore. That's what I get for trying to sell it. Okay. Am I still dropping frames? Oh my fucking god. What now? Doesn't appear to be any sort of DDoS. It looks like my frames stopped dropping, so that's good. Okay, we can get back to the conversation. I think the big thing that I did, somehow I brought up the like Windows sign out screen, so I brought it back really fast and signed back on. I don't know what I hit to do that, but I hit it, so whatever. But yeah, I'm going to try to say this again without all the theatrics, which sucks because I have fun doing that. if you are not going to actually engage with what I'm saying and hear what it is I'm saying and automatically assume that you're right because you're typing fast in chat, trying to debunk things that you think I'm going to say that I'm not going to say, you didn't win. You didn't engage with me. You argued with a straw man. You talked past me. That's not a win. That's not even a conversation. You're better off shouting at a goddamn wall in that situation. No, you didn't, blah. Neither did that other moron. Please, keep the white supremacist bullshit out of my chat. And if you are going to ask me a question, even if it is on that, here's what I want you to do, okay? Listen. If you're going to ask me a question, I'm going to respond to you. If I respond to you, I expect you to listen to me. Because I would do the same for you. It's called, and I know this is a concept that's very new, common courtesy. I show you respect, you show me respect. It works hand in hand, and we can all do it together. Rather than getting your white supremacist bullshit talking points out and not listening, not engaging, like that's not going to cause me to be like, you know what? You can go fuck yourself. I'm sorry. But I'm not actually sorry. You are an annoyance. Essentially what you're doing is just spamming in my chat at that point. And what's the point of that? Do you honestly think I'm going to engage with that? Your fucking gish gallop typing doesn't mean anything. I'm not talking directly to you, blah. There was another guy who was in here. But please, keep the white supremacy bullshit out of my chat. Alright, we'll see you later, Collusion. Have a good night. Kiss the kid for me. Or not me. Of course, of course. Some of my best friends are white. I'm gonna shock the world here, guys, but I don't like to talk about it too often, but you know, because people might treat me different, but well, here goes. I am white. I know. It's hard to believe. But we can get through this together, guys. We can get through this together. We can get through this. I believe if we work together. Because the one thing that I would like to say is, I may be white, but I'm not that kind of white. Far be it from me to have sympathy for people. Like, fuck me, right? Everyone is gray, technically. But white as a concept is kind of a joke. What these dumbasses who are white supremacists don't even understand, blah. I better see a kappa. If I don't see one, all right. Do you really think I am going to be insulted in my own stream? No. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to someone's stream, I'm going to insult them, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to be okay with it. Because that's how people react. Because when I walk up to somebody in the street and start insulting them, they totally don't either punch me or run away. Ain't how the world works. I don't have an obligation to put up with being insulted. This is my stream. This is currently my income, my space I control. I dole out the money to buy the PC that does this, to pay for the internet that does this, all of which is not cheap. And you honestly think you can come into this place and insult me, and I'm just going to go, okay. What an idiot. What an absolute moron. Both of them. I remember at one point Blah was nice. He didn't really, if you want any fucking proof that like right-wingers always tend to venture into white supremacy after a little bit, I had a lukewarm conversation yesterday on Demon Machine's stream where it was, some of you were there for it, where it was like 10 conservatives on one leftist, me. And I've had conversations with Blah before. He's been to my stream before, and he was never that aggressive with me. But the fact that I was able to debunk every single white supremacist argument that those guys were making by pointing out, hey, actually, there are discrepancies in law enforcement and how penalties are doled out among black people. Hey, the drug war was about going after black people. Oh, and hippies, but guess what stuck around after the hippies were gone? Black people. Guess who they continued to persecute in our justice system? Black people. And I came at them with all sorts of numbers. I had 20 tabs that I couldn't even get out in time before they shifted subjects and asked me to prove that. Because they can't win. They substantiated nothing. Just kept saying things like, I've seen it. To which I reply, that doesn't mean anything. I've seen a lot of things. What I've seen does not mean it's the entirety of the world or even the country. I can't believe these things have to be said, but they are. Hi, KJ. Welcome. Yeah, I got hit up by a couple white supremacists. It's always funny, because, they always hide that they're white supremacists until I say something that triggers them. Like I said, I've talked to Blah before. What is good faith? We're getting to it. I can tell you what bad faith is. I got interrupted, we'll say. White supremacists have nothing but bad faith arguments. What is bad faith? Bad faith is double-mindedness, a double-heartedness in duplicity, fraud, or deception, and may involve intentional deceit of others or self-deception. The expression bad faith is associated with double-heartedness, which also translated as double-mindedness. A bad faith belief may be formed through self-deception, being double-minded or of two minds, which is associated with faith, belief, attitude, and loyalty. In the 1913 Webster's Dictionary, bad faith was equated with being double-hearted or of two hearts, or sustained form of deception, sustained form of deception, which consists in entertaining or pretending to entertain one set of feelings and acting as if influenced by another. It's going to get simpler the more we read it. But that part right there, tell me what that sounds like. The concept is similar to perfidy, or being without faith, in which deception is achieved when one side in a conflict promises to act in good faith, ergo, by raising a flag of surrender, with the intention of breaking that promise once the enemy has exposed himself. After Jean-Paul Sartre's analysis of the concepts of self-deception and bad faith has been examined in specialized fields as it pertains to self-deception as two independently acting minds with one deceiving the other. So, guy comes in, wants to ask me a question about white people. First mind is what he's trying to sell to me and what I will buy into initially, just for the sake of, let's go ahead and do it. Now, of course, I'm seasoned at this point. This is my second year of streaming. I've gotten used to the trolls, believe me. I know when it's coming, but I allow them. I allowed them to do the thing. I knew it was coming as soon as the question was asked. But ask the question, and I proceeded to answer it. Now, the deception is they didn't want to hear my answer because they don't care. They just want to spout their own bullshit, because if they actually cared about possibly being wrong about something or learning anything, they would have listened. I would have even been willing to bring them into the Discord and show them data. But what immediately happened? The condescension, pretending like I didn't answer the question, and then while I answered the question in better detail, more clearly, what did he do? He ignored it and started everywhere. He had no intention of hearing what I was saying. He had no intention on even caring that I answered his question properly. It didn't matter that after what I said, he continued to want to argue with several straw men in the chat. I'm not saying you guys are straw men. I'm saying, did he actually seriously engage with anything you said? Did he provide any examples to anything? Did he address it, or did he just keep spouting his bullshit, going down his dialogue tree like you don't exist? Like you're not even a human being talking to him. That is bad faith. That is double-mindedness. I'm going to come in, convince you that I want to receive this information. I have an open mind. I just want to know what your perspective is and see if I can learn from you. When in reality, the second mind is saying, I don't give a shit what this person says. I already know my talking points and I'm going to spout them out endlessly. I do not care. I do not listen. I have my things to say, no matter what he says. And I'm going to walk away knowing I was just as right as when I came in, because I have no interest in being proven wrong or learning anything. Anything this person says is automatically wrong. By default. Dog's making noises. That's bad faith. That's why it's an emote. I do not engage with people in bad faith when they expose their bad faith. That is why. And it's not the first time I've done this to people who've come and did the same thing. People like Odd Storms, who's been here for a while, have witnessed me do this. Someone comes in, asks me a question, I try to answer, and while I'm answering, just typing things like, "You're wrong. No, I'm right. No, this, you got to listen to me. No. You got to listen to me. Hold up. No. You're completely wrong. You're completely wrong." Do you think while they were clickety-clacketing on their keyboard that they heard a goddamn thing that they said? So how can they tell me I'm wrong if they weren't paying attention? They cared a lot more about getting their point out than hearing someone else's perspective. That, my friends, is bad faith. Good faith, obviously, is the opposite of that. You come in wanting to hear an answer to that question. For all the things that I know that people like Micah or Liberty, I'm forgetting his name, do, when they come in, Micah dips into the bad faith. But most of the time, he's responding to the things that I'm saying. He's engaging with me. The only times I've timed him out are when he does that, and I keep explaining that to him. I wish he was here right now so he could hear this explanation. We are not here to confirm your already preconceived bias. We're not even here to confirm my bias. There's stuff that I've learned on stream. Yes, based Liberty. There's stuff that I've learned on stream. And I've went, oh, okay. Well, now I know. I was wrong about that. You learn, you live, you move on. I never go to any conversation without believing that I might learn something from someone else. I'm not perfect. I'm going to say things wrong. I'm not going to know everything. Neither are you. There's that one person that can say that they do. Nobody knows everything. So, why am I bringing this up? Over the weekend, we've had to deal with a lot of bad faith. Whether it's from our president, or it's from presidential candidates, maybe. Streamers. Social media. It's all run the gamut on this. We have seen a lot of bad faith, and there's a lot of people buying into it. Bad faith is coming in and saying, "You didn't want Soleimani killed. Why do you support terrorists?" Do you think that person who starts there actually wants to hear how, first of all, I have to answer that loaded question by stating, first of all, I don't believe he was a terrorist. I don't believe you can designate a world leader as a terrorist. I think we use the phrase terrorist way too much. We've broadened the term to where it doesn't fucking mean anything. We just call anyone who does any act against the United States a terrorist. That's where we are. Let me explain why I love terrorism. But, that person doesn't want to hear me point that out. They don't want to hear me point out that, you know what? The thing you got to recognize is I wouldn't ever like Soleimani. I'm pretty sure that I would fucking hate him if I ever met him. From all the acts that I've seen he's been connected to, he's been a part of some really shady shit. Really awful shit. He does have blood on his hands. Do I feel that the world is safer because we killed him? No. I talk about a concept a lot. The net negative versus the net positive. Soleimani was not a net negative for the world because what we see after assassinating him, making that choice to end his life while he was working with U.S. forces, what has that resulted in? Iran getting pissed off, starting to bomb our bases, but making sure to do as much as they can to not actually kill anyone, but to do structural damage against us. Which, in this country, we care a lot more about structures and finances more than actual people, so I guess they totally see it and they hit us where we actually care, where our feelings will actually be hurt. So if they killed people, no one cares. Unfortunately. They should. I do. But largely, and I've seen it, they're going to make excuses. We have learned that this idea to assassinate Soleimani started in June of this year. Or June of last year now. 2019. So, from June to now January 2020, he went in thinking the same thing about Soleimani in June as he did in January. He based it on the idea of a possible threat at some point that they declared imminent by broadening the term imminent to mean any time from a couple days to a couple months, maybe years. We don't know. Yeah. And that's a good conversation to have, Outstorms. I want to get to that. So, this president was selling this over and over as, I don't want to go to a war with Iran. I don't want to kill Iranian people. I don't want to act in these unilateral ways where we just murder people. He said that. That was one of his talking points in the election. He told them he was going to be anti-interventionist. He's in power. He's not being anti-interventionist. He's as interventionist as anyone else, and he's doing a far terrible job than the previous people who did pretty shit jobs in that situation too. Are we safer? This is the question that needs to be asked of anyone who comes in and says one goddamn thing about whether or not any of us support Soleimani. The answer will always be no. But the next question that needs to be asked is the world safer from him dying? Let's talk about all the events that happened immediately after killing him. I believe it was Wednesday, or was it Tuesday? I forget. So much has happened. It's hard to keep track of it all. They started volleying missiles onto our bases. In that fury, to, as they put it, get back at us for killing a popular general in their country, they They say accidentally. I have no proof to say that what they're saying isn't true, because I don't think that they have any motive to purposely take out that plane. They hit a plane full of Canadian and Iranian citizens. Everyone died. And this volley of trying to not get people killed and just do financial damage to the United States, they killed their own people and the people of another country. The other thing that happened is, even though Trump tore up the Iran nuclear deal, the landmark international policy of Obama's entire legacy, an amazing deal. There's so many good things to say about that deal. They were still following it up until that weekend, because they saw how America just goes around swinging its big old dick. And they're like, if we don't find a way to start swinging our dick around, they're going to come over here and just fuck us entirely. And they're going to continue to fuck us, which is something that we started. We started in 1953. Action, reaction. Now, we're all very concerned about what's going to happen next. Are things going to further escalate? We don't know. We don't know. If Trump is willing to just go ahead and choose the most extreme option in June, again, to kill Soleimani, what's he going to choose next? What's the next choice he's going to make? Iran is a lot easier to predict than the U.S. is right now. From what I was reading up on ongoing protests in Iran, I'm not sure he was popular beyond among the core government support. Was a long, deep dive. Short version of my findings was, one, people in Iran are not a monolith, and they have been going through some serious heavy protests and general strikes since November, with some connection to protests in the last few years. Also, absolutely all this goes back to the coup we helped Great Britain. Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about that is, okay, I don't know if you were there for Freems's roundtable. We had Dylan Dylan Burns was on. I'm forgetting names. I shouldn't. And that dude knows his shit. And what amazed me, as a guy who I can 110% say that foreign policy is not something that I know a lot about. But based off of my experiences of living through the march up to the Iraq War, remembering every single detail of that, and then seeing what happened afterwards, we'll say, he said a lot of the same things that I have said on my stream. Like, I was amazed. If you would watch me during that, I was nodding through all of it. And I was just like, I've made a lot of these points. Obviously, he makes them with a lot more detail, and he can put a lot more context behind it all. But I was just like, holy shit. I am on the right track. This guy who actually knows foreign policy, works in this, is saying things similar to what I have said. And I fully admit, I'm not talking about foreign policy when I'm talking about this stuff. I talk about how I know humans react to things. I talk about what I witnessed from this country and the lead up to a bad, illegal war that killed hundreds of thousands of people. I base that on just that. So, one of the things that he pointed out is, yes, there were protests in there from more moderate or progressive groups in the country to change some laws, make it more open to gay people, make it more open to trans people, make it more open to women, give them more rights. That was going on. Excuse me. So they probably didn't like him because obviously he ordered them to be killed. He ordered a lot of protesters to be killed. So by no means will I say that they were a monolith. The problem is that while they are not a monolith, and while he wasn't popular among the protesting people trying to change things, what we did by killing him was we gave him a common enemy. There's no will anymore for these protesters to want to go out and do anything but now protest to do something more against us. We gave them a common enemy. We can no longer, whether he was popular or not, which largely he was, the majority of the country was in favor of him because of his actions in killing ISIS. But it wasn't all. I will fully admit that. You bring up interesting points, and it's something that came up in Turing's chat yesterday. When we see that we were right over and over, we start to trust our intuition and political instincts. And our intuition and instincts are recognized by others of similar thinking. We need to network. 110%. This is why I have a hard time saying no to these roundtables. The thing that I want to stop in these roundtables is if it's going to be mostly lefties or all lefties, we need to stop fighting each other. We need to. This is an overarching theme, and we are going to build up to that. We are working our way to that final point. It may be popular, it may not. I'm doing a real bank shot here, but bear with me, please. Okay? That's all I ask. But you're right. We start to trust our intuition because we start to notice trends. People are complicated. The world is complicated. But some things are doomed to repeat themselves and put in the same scenarios. I can fully recognize that there were people protesting against the Iranian government. But what we did in bombing Soleimani was tell them that we are willing to kill them. Now, protesting to get women's rights, gay rights, trans rights in that country becomes secondary because they have to now fear what we're going to do. We cause that. Action. Reaction. King Boris Johnson, thank you for the follow. Even though I don't agree with your name. So yeah. Starting there, guys. Starting there. We were sold on a bad faith argument. Told to just believe that what they were telling us was true. That we're in a better place now. Don't worry. Iran's not going to do anything. It's all empty threats. Meanwhile, anyone who knows anything about anything or has witnessed this before is saying, actually, that's not true. We have a lot to worry about. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You think they're just going to sit back and do nothing after we bomb the shit out of their general's envoy in Iraq, a country that we were occupying that wanted us to leave? Did we seriously expect that? If anyone did, because they think that America's got this big old dick that we like to swing around and eventually no one's going to chop it the fuck off, then you're wrong. You don't understand policy. You don't understand people. And you, most of all, you're not thinking like a human being.